Okay, now we're going to work with synthetic division. Perhaps it's a little bit easier than long division, but again, you decide. But there's a process, you need to know it, so here it is. Synthetic division is basically what we are going to use instead of using the variables in the way we've done with the long division. We're just going to use the coefficients. So suppose we have this example here that we have the divisor, sorry, the dividend divided by the divisor x plus 1, and in this case what we're going to do, we're going to use just the plus 1, so the constant term of the divisor, and we are going to use the coefficient. So here's the coefficient of x cubed. The coefficient of x squared is 2, minus 1 is the coefficient of x, and then negative 2 is the constant term. We're going to write these down in here, so that would be 1, positive 2, negative 1, negative 2. Okay, simple as that. We're just going to use all of these ones, we're just going to bring them down, and we're going to write them in this format. Okay, the format that you can see, so plus 1 is right here, and then 1, 2, minus 3, minus 4 is right there. So the process is this. You start by, so first of all, the very first thing is that you have to realize that you will be subtracting. Anything that is going to be in this area right here, you will subtract away when you do that. The very first step is that you bring the very first constant, first coefficient, just down completely. Okay, that's the very first thing that you're going to do. So this is 1. You're not going to do anything, you're just going to bring it down. That's 1. Then you multiply, so now you're going to do 1 times 1, and then you have to, so that's a multiplication, so 1 times 1 is 1, and then we're going to put it right where under 2. Now we're going to subtract. 2 minus 1 is 1. Great. Now we're going to continue again. You're going to multiply again. You're going to multiply 1 by plus 1, which is the divisor, and when we do that, what do we get? We get 1 again. But this time you're subtracting this negative in front, so minus 1 or negative 1 minus 1, that will give us minus 2 or negative 2. We do that again. Negative 2 times 1 is negative 2, and then we're subtracting again. Negative 2 minus negative 2, that will give us 0. Great. Now here are the components, the way you actually know that's the component. This last piece right here, the 0, that is your remainder. The last part, that's the remainder. Then these are the leading coefficients. These are the leading coefficients of your quotient that is a degree lower or smaller than what you started up with, in this case, because x cubed was divided by x, so you know that your quotient has to have an x squared term in it. So let's go through it and write that down. So what is that? Well, that will be 1, so this will be 1 x squared plus, and then this will be 1 x, and then the minus 2 is just going to come down, and that becomes the constant term. Here it is. All right, so that is now the quotient, and now we can rewrite the whole thing. And then what will happen is that the way you write that, actually let me label this, so this is the quotient. Great. And then the division statement for this one will end up being, so when you divide that, the remainder is 0. That's telling me that when the remainder is 0, that means x plus 1 is a factor of the original. All right, so the division statement of that will be x squared plus x minus 2 times x plus 1 equals to the original divisor, which is x cubed plus 2x squared minus x minus 2. And that is the division statement. So before moving on to another example, I just want to make sure that we are looking at this question. What does it mean when the remainder is 0? Okay, so let's go back to grade 3 and 4. If I divide 15 by 3, I know I will get 5. What is the remainder in here? The remainder is 0. So that means 5 and 3, these two, both of them, they are factors of 15. Okay, so whenever the remainder is 0, you know that your divisor and quotient, they are the factors of the dividend. Okay, I need you to pay attention to that. So let's go ahead and do another synthetic division example. Okay, here's another synthetic division example. So the first time the coefficient drops down, there's a first drops down, then you multiply, right? So this is a multiplication right here. This is a multiplication always. So this would be minus 10. Let's do minus 10, subtraction. So that will give us minus 3, because that is minus 13 minus negative 10 is minus 3. And then we do subtraction again, minus 3 times minus 2, that is positive 6. 10 minus 6 is positive 4. Very good. And then positive 4 times minus 2, that is negative 8. And then we are subtracting negative 9 minus negative 8, 1 and negative 1. Remember, the last value that you get, that's your remainder. Okay, now let's go rewrite. So here it is. So we're going to rewrite now. So we started with the x cubed. So the new quotient will be 5x squared, and then that will be minus 3x plus 4. That would be the quotient. Okay, that's the remainder. And of course you have your divisor, which is x minus 2. That is the divisor. Okay, now you can go right ahead and write the division statement. Okay, and the division statement here is what we have. Basically 5x squared minus 3x plus 4, which was, if you remember, that was your quotient. This is your divisor, and this is your remainder. Okay, that is it. Now, having said that, so remainder is negative 1. So therefore, you know that the quotient and the divisor, they cannot be a factor of this polynomial. Okay, if this was 0, then it would have been a factor.